So as we get into the material for part 2, we're going to revisit some of the fundamental movements to get your body prepared, but we're also going to be adding on a little bit. Come on into a quadruped position or all fours, and we'll go through the wrist mobility exercise. Obviously this one's really important because we're going to visit this a lot. So shift your weight forward into your fingers as far past bring your shoulders as far past your fingers as you can. And then shift back. And come forward. And take your time. Take these movements slow. There's a lot of mindfulness here. Pay attention to all the little nuances that are happening in your wrists. Point your hands out to the side and we'll move side to side as well. Keep your arms straight through the whole process. Now you're just searching, looking around for what's needed. Point your fingers back, shift back, and softly. Keep your hands grounded the whole time. Take another couple breaths, just search back around. You can move as needed, just to find any little spots that need a little extra attention this morning. So we'll set up our shoulder circles here. So press the ground away from you. Get really strong in a table. And send your shoulders as far forward as you can. So just kind of shrug your shoulders. Press the ground away and make a big circle just with your shoulders. Your arms as straight as possible.
Can I stop you?
Yeah.
You just start from the seat and say, come back to all fours. That way I can clip the video.
Sure. Okay.
The sentence just blurred from one thing to the next.
Okay. I'll plan breaks from now. So come on to all fours and we'll go through some shoulder circles. You press the ground away, keep your arms as straight as possible. And start by shrugging your shoulders. And press them down and forward, and then pull them and depress them down. So pull them down your back and around. Just making a couple of big circles with your shoulders. Try to keep everything else as still as possible. Of course, make sure to go the other way. Come on up. The next exercise is the wheelbarrows. Your breath is pretty important here. It's a nice guide to find cow pose to begin. So inhale fully. And start by sending your whole rib cage to the right. As you exhale slowly, send your ribs all the way over. Dome out your back, tuck your chin in. As you begin to inhale, slide to the left. And come through cow pose. And exhale, round out to the right. Quick pause in cat. And inhale to the left. To cow pose. And one more time this way. And shift 3 times the opposite direction. Exhale, round out to the left, take cat pose. One more time. come on out. Next, we'll go into Malasana next. So come into your version of Malasana, and we'll go into reverse tabletops and then back into Malasana. It's just a few times. Take this really slow. So crawl both hands back. Keep your heels on the ground. It's really the most important thing we want to look at. Lift your heart. Exhale, lower. Reach forward without using any momentum at all. Sit back into Malasana. If you have to kind of push forward, that's okay. But just try to just take note for now. How much pressure do you need to use to get back into the little squat? Just 2 more times. Next, we'll move into Malasana movements. So stay in Malasana, shift side to side. Pay attention to any areas of additional tension. Think about how your feet are placed on the ground. You want to shift into all the different portions, the top left, the top right, maybe the top center, all the way back into your heels. And just kind of searching for now. Come on out. The next exercise we'll do, you'll come all the way down into your back and we'll do hip circles. So at first, you'll take your right knee all the way up and in. Just hug it to your chest. And then the movement's in your left knee. I want to make 3 big circles to the outside. So without moving my hips off the ground very much, move my knee all the way to the left and then back in and around. 2 more times in that direction. Let's get to know all the little pops and clicks in your hip. Take it the other direction. Switch out your legs. For your 3rd time, take it the other way. Notice if your hips lift, your shoulders lift. You have a lot of movement on one side of your body. It's very natural to create a condition of instability. Let's release. And come on. So our add-ons for part 2 are, first, we're gonna do cradle to baby. So what you can do is grab a hold of the blade of your foot as well as your knee and try to bring your shin up to parallel with the ground. So what happens frequently is you're around your spine. You want to still stay lifted and forward. So push your heart toward your foot. If you have the flexibility to do so, you can bind your hand around your shin, just like this. Just take a couple movements side to side. So inhale, mindfully open up toward your knee. And exhale, twist to the other side. Just kind of slowly waking up your hip. After you've gone through a couple times, you can begin to pick up the pace slightly. Just pay attention to all the sensations that are going on. About halfway through, just make sure your heart's still lifted. Come to a stop. And so take your hand that's close to your foot, and just grab a hold of your foot and extend your leg. If you can, relax your knees straight. You can add a little bit of a twist, and that's okay, but just focus on the length of your leg. It helps to pump it out a couple times, that's great to do. Roll your shoulder back, add a little bit of rotation. We'll go over to the other side. So set up cradle or baby just the same. Inhale to open. Exhale, twist toward your foot. You can move at your own pace, a little bit quicker if it helps. And again, just gonna feel around in your hip, see what your body's coming up with today. Refine your heart a little bit, lift up, roll your shoulders back. Slowly release. Again, take your hand across the top of your foot and add a little twist. It may take a little time for your leg to straighten out. That's okay. It's important. It does get there eventually. So the final piece of examine is to come into a posture called frog pose. A frog can be a little bit intense. It's kind of like doing the splits without extending your legs. So what I'll do is I'll use the length of my mat and bring my knees out as wide as possible. And once they're out there, then you bring your heels, or I guess your ankles, right behind your knees. So once I found a good position, then I'll come forward a bit. It's natural for your heart to want to come forward, but search around a little bit. Shift forward and back, a little bit to the sides. After holding this for a little while, it might feel really natural to want to deepen the posture, and that's okay to do, but don't push yourself too much. It's still early on. We're just examining where your body's at for today and how that corresponds to what's going on in your head. Another 30 seconds or so here. Slowly begin to rise out. Bring your knees in closer. All right. That ends our examined portion. Let's get ready to move forward.